of 10% is offered for cash, what price must the plumber pay if paying by cash? That was the first question. That was the first question. And this. And then the second question was a plumber of a supplier of electrical goods informs retailers that the following discounts are available for early payments of purchases. Within 7 days, you are entitled to 10% discount. If you pay within 14 days, you are entitled to 7.5%. And if you pay within 28 days, you are entitled to a cash discount of 2.5%. An electrical store has purchased 30%, have purchased $30,000 worth of goods from this supplier. How much will with pay for these goods if payment is made just after 5 days, or just after 10 days, or just after 21 days, or just after 35 days? So these are the questions we had. Right. How many of you did the homework? Please raise your hand. I want to see. And how many of you did not do the question, the homework? If you did not do the homework, why? Okay, let's first talk about some of the important things. Can you guys hear me? Or I can proceed. How many of you can hear me? If you can just press the thumbs up button. Okay. Okay. Let's first take just a quick recap. I don't think this one is doing what I want. Oh, I think it's doing that. Let's take a quick recap. Yesterday, we talked about symbols and we said L, it is for the list price. It was the list price or the original price. That was our L. And then we talked about D. And then D, we said that D, it is the amount of discount. And then we talked about R, and then R, we said it is the rate of discount. Right. And then we talked about DP. And then our DP, we said it is a discount, D for discount. So it is a discount price. This is I, price. So to give you a simple example here, I can give you a simple example like this. Maybe it will start to make some sense. What do they want? Yeah. Let me do this. Okay. Okay. And so want to come here. Yeah. So let's say that we have an example that there are the original price, price. Let's say you have original price. This is P, price of bread. let's say we're dealing with bread here. And this bread has an original price of let's say we said that the original price is 12 rand. So when we are going to buy a bread, you are supposed to be charged 12 rand. So this is the normal price of bread. This is the price that this bread is usually sold. So it is 12 rand. And then now you go to the shop and then they say that you are one of our loyal customers and we're gonna give you this bread for 10 rands. Right. So this one is the normal price. This is the normal price. If you were to go there and buy on any other day, they would sell this bread with this 12 rand. But now, because they realized that you are a loyal customer, they decided that, okay, it's fine, because you've been coming here more often, we always see your face here, you are one of our loyal customers, and then we're gonna sell this bread for you with just a 10 rand. And then now, this one is the new price. New price. This one was the normal price because they know you and then they give you this as a new price. This normal price, it is the one that we call it the list price, right? And then this new price, or this price that you are going to pay, this price that you have to put your hand inside your pocket and bring that wallet and pay now, it is the one that we call it a DP. It is a discount price. The amount, the new amount that you are going to pay now, after we have applied the discount. Now, the amount of money they will reduce from this 12 rand to this 10 rand, it is the one that we call it the D. So D is that difference from the price that you are going to pay and the normal price. That is the D. I hope you can see the difference of this D and this DP. DP is the new price that you are going to pay, and this D here, which is the amount of discount, it is the difference from the original price and the new price. That's what we said yesterday. And R, of course, R is just D divided by L. We had these nice equations yesterday that if you wanted to calculate the rate of discount, you just have your D divided by L. And of course, if you are cross multiplying here, your D, if let's say, why would you want to cross multiply in the first place? If let's say the rate of discount is given and the listing price is given, D is the one that is not given. You are trying to find that. Then you just take L and then you multiply L by R. That's how you find the D. So this one is when you're finding for R. This one is when you're finding for D. But this is one equation. It's one and the same thing, but you are manipulating it. And then to find the discount price, or the discount price, you will find out that the original price was this 12 rand. And then in order to get this 10 rand here, we had to subtract this difference here. 12 minus 2 is a 10. So basically, here, this is going to be L minus a D. So that is the equation for DP. If let's say L is the one that is not given, you must also know that L is just going to be a DP minus D. But all these things can be found from this nice equation. If L is not given, but this one is given and that one is given, you can use this equation instead. And also, in other words, you can also find that D, if you want to find this D, remember that I took this. What am I doing now? I am lying. This one is supposed to be a plus because I'm taking it to the other side. So this one's supposed to be a plus there. is only the D. If I take it to that side and this side, L is going to be minus dP. So these are just the equations that you can actually deduce from this equation there. So that is what we were talking about yesterday. Of course, I only focused here and only focused there and only focused here because this one can be found from this one, and also this one can also be found from this one by taking this D to this side, and it's going to change its sign. It's going to be positive that side, and this one is positive. When it comes to this side, it's going to be negative like that. And then for this one, taking to the other side is going to be positive. Of course, this is what we said yesterday, just a rough sketch of what we said yesterday. Now, I want us to actually answer these problems here. So if you take a look into this problem, the first thing that I want you to realize is that a plumber wishes to purchase 20 meters. So we want to buy 20 meters of PVC, which has a list price of $3.50 per meter, which means 1 meter costs this much. Now, if I wanted to buy 20 meters, which means I have to multiply this by 20 because per meter, which means 1 meter costs this much, but I want 20 meters. So what is going to be our list price in this particular case? Let me add here a page. Let me add a page here. Okay. So first, let's talk about the list price. This is our solution. So here we are having L, which is the list price, is going to be $3.50 per meter, but we want 20 meters. So we multiply this by 20, which is equal to, let me grab my calculator. Sorry guys, this one does not have a calculator by itself. So I multiply by 20. So this one is going to be $70. Of course, 0 cents there. So that is the list price. Let's go back again. Now, the plumber is entitled to a trade discount of 15% of the list price, which means our R, which is the rate of discount, is just a 15% a piece, or simply 0.15. So we are having that R there. What is also given there? Actually, this is the only thing that is given into this. What is the total amount must the plumber pay? So these are the only things that are given. I want you to realize that in this example, D is not given, and also DP is also not given. So what is the question? The question is, what total amount must the plumber pay? So this is the amount this guy needed to pull his hand and put it inside his pocket, bring out the wallet, and then take out this number of dollars and pay. In other words, this is the new price this person is supposed to pay. If it is a new price, what we are looking for a DP. So this is what is looking. It is the price this person have to pay, or the new price this person have to pay. It is a DP. Of course, let's look at this number A here because we're looking for that. And we know that our DP is the same as the list price minus the amount of discount, or the difference from the new price and the original price. That is AD. And if you look carefully into this, you will find out that the list price was given. It was $70 minus D was not given, but you know that the formula for D is simple. We know that D is the same as L times R, or R times L. It doesn't matter. Multiplication is commutative. So when it comes to this equation, you will find out it is the same as L minus, what is your D? D is the same as L times R. So when it comes now to plugging in numbers for D, I'm going to plug in numbers for that. L, we said that our L is the same as $70. And then times what is R? It is 0.15. So we have 0.15 or just a 15% base. So there you will have your 70 minus 70 times 0.15 or 15%. Your answer is going to be $59.50. So $59.50. So this is the solution to A. Now let's look for B, but before I go to B, anyone who have a question on A so that you are not left behind? Anyone who have a question when it comes to A? Okay. In the absence of questions, which means we are good to go. Let's go and look at number B. Our number B is saying, if a further discount of 10% is applied for cash, in other words, we are having a cash discount here. If we pay now or if we pay by cash, okay, if we pay now by cash, we will also get this discount. This is the second discount that is actually applied to the new price that we have. Now, the question is, how much must the plumber pay if he is paying by cash? This is very simple, guys, because we know that what is important here is that we are having your DP, which is the new price. It is supposed to be the listing price minus the discount, the amount of discount. And of course, if this one is not given, you know that this is L and your D is the same as L times R by equation, guys, using this equation there. And what is important when it comes to this thing is that if you like, you can first find D and then after D, but you can do this fast and quick. And now the question is this: what is going to be the listing price in B? Remember that now we are also getting a discount. This is the second discount that we're having. So this listing price here is going to be the price that we were supposed to pay if this second discount is not applied. Let me say this again. A further discount, in other words, we have another discount that is there. If this discount was not applied or it was not given, this plumber was going to pay $59.50. But now they are applying this as this second cash discount, which means now our listing price is going to be the same as the price this guy was going to pay if this 10% was not being paid. So we have this 59, this is 59, and this is 59.5, so it's $59.50, and then times the discount, which is a 10%. So we have that 10% there. So now that we're having that 10%, you can clearly see now that you can just punch in your calculator and get in the numbers. Some calculators can just have this percentage. Those who don't have, you can just convert it. You know how to convert it because 10% is the same as 0.10. Move the comma a couple of decimal points. And then you can press your calculator 59.50 minus 59.50, and then you multiply that by a 10%. You will see $53.55. So this guy will end up paying $53.55. So this is the final answer to question number B. Anyone who have a question, or should we move forward? If you want us to move forward, you can just press a thumbs up. But if you don't want us to move forward, you can ask a question. Which is which? Okay. Let's move to number B. That's a fine. In number 2, number B, a supplier of electrical goods informs retailers that, let me do this before, and also I want to add a page for the solutions. Actually, before this recap thing here, let me add a page. Yeah. Okay. We have a supply of electrical goods, informs the retailers that the following discounts are available for early payments of purchases. So this supplier is actually offering a cash discount. And if someone pays within 7 days, they will get this discount. If someone pays within 14 days, they will pay this discount. If they pay within 28 days, they will pay this discount. What is basically happening here? If you pay within this interval, you get that. But if you pay after 7 days, but before or on the 14th day, you will get this discount. And if you pay after 14 days, but before or on the 28th day, you will get this discount. That is what this statement is actually saying. An electrical store has purchased 30,000 worth of goods from this supplier. So if these goods, we did not have this discount, this person, this electrical store is supposed to pay this 30,000 for these items that they bought, which means now the original price, this is the solution, of course. This is the solution. So the original price, or L, is going to be $30,000.00, because that's what the statement is saying. And then the next thing that I want you to realize here is that the rate of discount is either gonna be this or no. It's either gonna be this, or it's gonna be that, or it's gonna be that, depending on how many days this electrical store took before they can pay. Now let's look into this. An electrical store purchased this. How much will pay? How much this this electrical will pay for these goods if payment is made just after 5 days? Let's look now for A, because here D is not given, is guaranteed. DP is also not given, right? But R, I can say that R is conditional. I'm going to put these dots. But in A, our R can be found. Remember that our L is not going to change. It is just $30,000. And then now we are focusing on this R here. A is 5 days. So A, we are having, with A, we have 5 days. I want us to analyze this. In 5 days, if you look at 5 days, 5 days is less than 7 days, which means 5 days is within this interval. So our R is going to be 10% because 5 days is within an interval of 7 days. So we have a 10%. So our R is going to be 10%, or simply 0.10. Now, we are looking for the amount that this person must pay. We are not looking for the difference. So we are looking for DP, and we know our DP is L minus D, and we know that is L. And D, if D is not given like this, we know that. How do we find D? You take L and then you multiply by R. That's how simple this thing is. Let's not make it difficult, guys. And L is simply going to be $30,000. minus $30,000, and then you multiply by a 10% or a 0.10. So the final answer for A is going to be, I have my calculator here, 30,000, and then multiply, no, not multiply, minus, I have a 30,000, and then multiply, I have a 0.10. So the answer that we're supposed to have here is supposed to be 27. It's going to be $27,000. So the electrical store is going to pay this much according to A. What is B saying? B is saying that after 10 days. So with B, we have 10 days. We have 10 days. So when we're having these 10 days, we have to go back and look 10 days. You can see that 10 is bigger than 7, which means we're supposed to be here, but 10 is less than 14. So we are at 7.5%. So 10 days, we are at 7.5%. This means that our R is equal to 7.5%, which is the same as 0. I'm going to move this one 2 times here and then 0 before, so we have 0.075. And then from there, what is going to be our dp? Your dp is equal to L minus D. Of course, D is not given, so we have L minus, what is D? It's always going to be R times R. This is not hard, guys. What is our L in this case? It is 30,000. So we have 30,000 dollars minus what is L is $30,000, and then times what is R? Our R is 0.075. What is the final answer? So all I need to change here is this 10% to 7.5%. The answer now, this guy or the store is supposed to pay $27,750. So that is actually what we are having in this particular case. Let's now look at number C. What is number C going to actually tell us is this. We need to go back and look at number C. Number C is saying that we are having 21 days. We're on 21 days. Let's write it down. So here, so we have 21 days. 21 days, what does it mean for our R? If you look at 21 days, 21 is bigger than 14, but it is less than 28. So it is within this interval. In other words, we are only going to get 2.5%. So this one here, our R is 2.5%, or simply put, it is 0.025. Want to represent it as how many number of holes we have. Now, how do we solve this? We are looking for dp, of course, which is L minus D. And if you look carefully into this, D is not given. So D, instead of this, we use the formula for D, which is L times R. And L is given, so L is still $30,000. And then minus, this is still same, it is going to be $30,000. And then of course you multiply by 0.025. What is going to be the answer there? All I need to change here is this 7% in my calculator. I have a 2. And then the final answer should be $29,250.0. So that is actually the amount that this person is, or this store is going to pay. Let's go to number D, which is 35. So D, under D, we have 35 days, right? What does it mean for our R? Let's go up. 35 days. If you look at 35 days, 35 days is bigger than 28. 28, at 28, you get this 2.5% up to this, but after that, you are not getting any discount. There is no discount here. This discount, you only get a discount if you are paying within 28 days. So 35 is above that, which means there's no discount at all. So if you are going above this number of days, what is going to happen here? We have 0% because there is no discount on the 31st day, which means now your DP, which is supposed to be L minus D, D is not given, or L minus L times R, and you know that this is 0, so you will have L minus L times 0%. 0% the same as 0. This is going to be L. So this person is going to pay a 30,000 in full. So it's going to pay this much in full. So there is no discount at all if this person decide to pay on the 35th day. So this is how we solve these problems. They're very easy and straightforward problems. I hope you can see the difference here in the number one. In number one, what happened? If you look here, we had a discount of 15%. But after applying this discount, there was a further discount of 10%. If this person is paying in cash, so we had this percentage, then we had to apply this 10% after that percentage. In other words, here we had a chain of discounts. That is why our L became the answer that we had in number one. So that was actually it about what we were actually trying to do with our homeworks. Anyone who have a question? Or are you ready for us to move forward? Okay, all of us seems to be just fine. Okay, no problem at all. No problem at all. We're fine. I want us to start something now, which is one of the things I think now these discounts, yeah, they do play a huge role when it comes to, especially in your career, guys. You would be dealing and analyzing and auditing people's businesses, and businesses is all about buying and selling. So this is one of the major parts that one of the main points that are usually playing a huge role in your careers. But if we have to face the truth, what is actually more important, or what do we actually need you to understand? It has nothing much to do with these discounts, because these discounts you are paying, buying and selling, they don't usually put you in trouble much. The only thing that usually put people in trouble, it is tax. Tax is the problem. Tax is the problem. And as a result, most people, they try to avoid it. And the good thing is that you're always going to get caught, whether you like it or not. At some point, you will be caught. Now you will be playing a victim when you don't want to pay government his money. So trying to make this a little bit, maybe it's fine. Let me put it like this as it is. I don't see any problem here. I think it is fine. Yeah. So today I want us to talk about goods and have an S here, and services tax. Usually goods, we usually put this G, and then S, I mean, just an S. So we put the S as it is, and then we have a T as it is. So when you are seeing GST, you must know that whatever you are dealing with, it has to do with goods and services tax. That is what I want us to talk about today. Of course, if we get enough time, we'll move to other things as well. So let me first write this definition and maybe give a little bit of analysis if it is not clear. This one is the value aided. It is a value aided tax levied on most goods and services. Most goods and services sold for domestic consumption. Domestic consumption. So basically, what is the government? Okay, let me first finish this. It is indirect. Usually when it comes to these definitions, I usually give you a little bit of summary everywhere, because I know that you're still gonna deal with this stuff in more details in your fields and other courses. Here, what is more important, we are only doing calculations most of the time, but I want you just to get a little bit of understanding in the definitions. You're still gonna deal with this if you haven't. Some of you who are doing accounting, they do have a little bit of background on this. It is indirect, meaning it is paid. It is paid by the consumer. But collected by, let me not use by here, use something else. Let me say it is corrected and remitted to the government. This is the government by the businesses. Okay. So what is this text all about? Let's first start by talking about a little bit of this text thing. So basically, if let's say we wanted to have roads, want to have nice roads, we wanted to have water, we wanted to have clean water, and then we also want to have clinics, we wanted to have hospitals. We are always complaining to the government that why are you not helping us with this much? And also, if the country is actually facing, let's say, is going to war with other countries, we want our country to go and fight for us. In other words, we want to send the soldiers out there and fight for us. But in order for them to fight, they need to have weapons and all those things. The government need to pay for these things. Now, the question is, where is the government going to get this money? So the government is just saying that because I am doing all these things for the country or for the community or for this particular area, you need to pay, guys, for these services, but there is a system that we are going to pay. Each and every individual is going to contribute through this amount of money or through these funds that we need to build the hospitals, roads, and all these services that we want to build. So the government charges tax. That is the way of collecting our contribution towards these services. That is why most workers will find them complaining that this government need to do this government need to do that, is because they are entitled to that. They are paying for these services, and they are paying through what we call tax. So these tax are different because everyone needs to contribute. So today we start at the bottom at these things that is affecting everyone. If you are consuming something, it's either you are eating food or just for eating food, when you go to buy that food, the government is adding a portion on the amount or that we are supposed to charge. If, let's say, we do not have these services, they add a certain portion of money there as tax. So when you're buying food, you are taxed for eating. You must know that. You must also be and must also understand that you are eating, other people are not eating. We need to tax you. So if you are going and you decide to buy clothes, there is always gonna be a tax for buying those things, for consuming. So you are taxed for that. When you are actually buying electricity and using electricity, you are consuming that electricity. So they tax you for actually using electricity. There are so many other things that revolves around consumption. So when you eat, when you buy clothes, the moment you buy, when you buy a good or a service, so you'll find out that most of these things, there is an extra fee that is there. For instance, if let's say you want to buy, let's say you go to Checkers, when you are going now using your NSFAS, you go there to buy grocery, you will find out that in your slip there will be something that is called VAT there. So that amount, which is there is a certain percentage, which is 15%, you will find out that they're saying 15% is this much. So out of those things, there is a fee that is added by the government so that for you to eat, you must understand that you're gonna eat and be healthy. When you are healthy, you are the responsibility of the government, so the government need to tax you that much. So there is something every time you are going to buy, you will always be seeing that portion of tax that is there. So for buying things to consume, there is tax, and that tax we usually call it GST, or goods and services tax. No. Anyone who have a question on that before we proceed? Because what we will be doing now is much more important, because we want to go into calculations and also build up on the understanding of how auditing is actually working in this side of maths, and also how you can apply your maths and make sure that you become the best auditor that can be employable. Any questions so far on this? If you don't have a question, you understand, you can just press a thumbs up, or if you want us to just finish this thing and get done with, just a thumbs up. But if you have a question, you can unmute yourself and ask a question, and then we can be able to move forward. Some do understand. If you have a question, you don't have to understand. You can ask the question, because this is one of the things that are much more important, especially in auditing. We'll get a little bit, of course, some of these things you're still gonna get a better understanding of what I'm gonna give you, because my understanding and my approach is only focusing on the mathematics side of things. The other part of analyzing, okay, this goods and services, what's up with it and stuff. Now, let's look at the flowchart on how this thing does it work. That is what is important, so that we can see what is the consistency of this. How does this GST work? How does GST work? Let me just say, this is just a basic flow chart or basic flow, because some of the things that are actually much more important here is this. Now, Before you can buy something, I want you to understand that someone needs to manufacture that thing. You cannot just say that I'm just going to pray and just going to come from the sky. That thing only happened in the Bible when people were receiving manna. Here it's not happening at all. Here, in order for you to eat something, someone must produce it. And even in the case whereby people are receiving manna in Israel, you will find actually that those people, God actually manufactured that. So we must have a manufacturer in the beginning. So you have a manufacturer. Someone must manufacture this. So you will have a manufacturer. And then this manufacturer will have to sell this, will sell. And then before it comes to you, they will sell to a wholesaler. So they will sell to a wholesaler. And of course, the moment that there was a sale that happened, then there will be a charge for GST. So government will charge GST to the person who bought. So this person who is buying will be charged a GST because this person bought something. And then the wholesaler, this is L, so the wholesaler will sell, and when they're selling now, they will sell to a retailer, sell to the store, because usually the manufacturer is going to manufacture so many things and then they sell them in bulks, and then the wholesaler will also collect this at the cheaper price and then they sell them into bulks to these big shops, and then these shops are the ones that will sell to you. So because this wholesaler sold something to the retailer, the government is going to charge this retailer GST, right? And then the retailer now will sell to you. We have a retailer now decide to sell to you. So this one is going to be sells. This is supposed to be sell to. This one sell to consumer. They will sell to the consumer. Now the consumer also will be charged GST. So that is what is important here. If you notice here, I'm gonna put a star here. The consumer, which is, this is an consumer. The consumer actually is going to only will pay the final. This is S, pays the final GST. Why is the consumer going to pay? Is because this consumer is actually not going to sell to anyone. So this is the person who will only be charged by the government. GST amount will be charged, GST amount included in the price. Like I said, when you're going to a store and you're buying food there or buying clothes, you'll find out there's always that VAT that is associated there, that is added there. That is actually this consumer tax that is actually charged to you for buying something. Now, how will the government make sure that this tax thing is consistent? If this one is selling to that, 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 and all those things, because there are so many sales. When you sell something and you already paid this GST, you will claim a portion of that I've already paid this portion. I can only pay this because when that guy was selling me this, I paid including the GST. So I'm only going to pay a certain portion because I have paid another portion to someone else. That is why we also have something that is called input tax credit. It is the amount that you claim back because you have already paid when you were buying from that person. Businesses use to do that a lot. I'm going to give you a nice example to see how this thing actually works so that you get a nice, you wrap your head around this in a nice way to see how this thing actually works if we have so many people that are actually doing this thing. So let me take an example here. This is an example. I hope you will understand this example because it is one of the examples that are very much important and they usually come out in exam and tests because they are important. You can't do auditing and also not understand these things. It is the basis of auditing. Unless you are doing auditing for fun, you don't want to get employed, and if the mistake happened, you are employed, you want to be fired, then you don't have to focus on this. I mean, you already have your NSFAS, eat your NSFAS in peace. So this example is going to say this. You have a manufacturer. So there is a manufacturer, right? And this manufacturer sells to wholesaler, sells to wholesaler. Just to minimize writing too much, to say sells to, I'm just gonna use an arrow. I mean that it sells to by that arrow as we're continuing in this example. So what is going to happen? The manufacturer will actually give a selling price, right? There will be a selling price that is there. Let me say for this nice example that the selling price is 1,000. The wave is just 1,000 rands. And then now, because this manufacturer wanted to sell to wholesalers, government will come in and say, okay, look, my guy, what I know that this is your price, this is what you want to gain by this product. So I want you to add a percentage of this to this product as the contribution of this wholesaler to the services of this country. So the government will say, just add these percentages, they differ from country to country. So it's one of these things that are then also from service to service because some services are not taxed the same. So they will say, I'm giving you an example here that GST is 15%. So they say, look, add 15% to this price. So what is going to be 50% of this? You do your calculation and then you multiply this by 15%. And if you press your calculator, you'll find out that, okay, when you're calculating 50% of this, you will have 1,000 rands times 15% or 0.15, which is equal to, let's say this is going to be, multiply that, it's going to be 150 rands. So the government is going to, when you are buying, they charge you this 15%, you will end up paying this extra. So the total or the price now that you will see in your slip, the total paid by the wholesaler is going to be equal to 1,000 plus this 150, which is just equal to 1,150 rands. So this is how these prices usually work. So most of the time when people are complaining by tax, they actually saying that if the government can reduce this tax, then this additional amount of money can actually be reduced and then the total will actually end up becoming smaller and smaller. This is where the complaints usually come in because the price, you cannot entirely complain to the manufacturer. You can also complain to your government because the government is adding a portion to the price of each product. And then from there, you'll find out the wholesaler will say, okay, fine. This is going to be the wholesaler. The wholesaler will say that, okay, I'm going to sell now to the retailer, right? And then the selling price of the selling price. Let me do this now. If the wholesaler will sell at this price, then the wholesaler will not make any profit because this is the same amount he bought the product with. So the wholesaler will say, I want to actually add up some amount, right? I wanted to actually add up some amount. So what this person will say, I do want to sell with 1,000, right? But if I'm selling with this exact 1,000, then I will end up having a problem, right? I will end up having a problem because I'm not going to make any profit here. So I want to add a little bit so that I can have a profit. So this person decide I'm going to add, let's say, I'm going to add 500 rands so that at least I'm going to make a profit from this amount, right? This amount of money this person is adding, we call it the markup. I want you to understand that. So we have this 1,000 plus 500. So this portion of amount, let me add a piece so that I can make a portion. So this one, we call it the markup. In other words, now, the selling price of this person is going to be 1,500. That is going to be the selling price of this wholesale. Then the government comes in. The government is always there and waiting for you because they want to charge you. They say, okay, it's fine. You have already added from the previous amount. You've added your own. And then, okay, I want you to pay this 15% GST. So this one is going to be 1,500 that will be charged to the wholesaler. 1,000 times 15% or 0.5. So this is simply R 1,500 times 0.15, which is the same as, I think this one would be, how much? Let me take my calculator there. This one is going to be R, I think it's going to be 225. So this is the GST that is going to be charged. And do that, plus a percent, yeah, 225. And then from there, this is the magic that is going to happen here. This is the amount of money that is actually going to be charged. So let me write here. Because the wholesaler has paid. If you look here, this wholesaler, when this wholesaler was buying from the manufacturer, they also paid this 150. They already paid 150. So what is going to happen here? Because this person, this wholesaler has paid 150 rands to the manufacturer. The wholesaler will claim 150 as the input tax credit and only pay to the government. Only pay to the government 225 minus 150, which is equal to minus 150, which is equal to 75. So the wholesaler will only pay 75 rand to the government because the other percentage have already paid to the manufacturer. Let me explain this. When you are going to, let's say, Checkers and you're buying food, You buy that food and they charge you that 15% extra. And then that 15% extra is going to the business. And then the business will collect all this 15% to all these customers who are buying and then take that money and send it to the government. That is what the business usually do. So when this wholesaler, I'm saying this wholesaler is claiming this 150. So out of these people who are buying from this wholesaler is supposed to collect all this amount of money and send it to the government. So out of all the monies that this wholesaler have collected, this wholesaler will deduct 150, say, this is mine, I'm not going to send it up front. And this one, they will claim it as input tax credit. So this is what I actually mean by this input tax credit. They will say, this is mine, this 150 belongs to me because I've already paid much, so I have to claim a portion of what I have paid. So that's how this input is actually working, which is also the main reason why most people wanted to start businesses instead of working, because they realize that they can actually not pay tax, they can actually not end up paying tax because of this, because they are claiming back their VAT. So there are certain things that are happening that you are benefiting when you actually have a business rather than when you are a consumer alone. And also, some of them, what they usually do when they want to buy their personal grocery, they usually put it in a business. But of course, there are laws, rules, and regulations associated with that so that they can end up claiming that VAT on themselves. And then now that the retailer have bought something, then the retailer sells to the customer or consumer. And then the retailer adds, let's say they add up what I call the markup. And then this amount of money they will add, let's say now they want to make a profit from this 300 rands. And then the new selling price will be, new selling price is going to be, because they bought this product for, what was the selling price here? For 1.5. They bought this product for 1.5. They decided that, okay, fine. It's going to be 1.5 plus 300, which is the same as 1,800 rands. So the new selling price is going to be 1.8. The government is saying, okay, because you want to charge that much, I want you to pay this GST or goods and services tax of 15%, which is going to be 1,800 times the 15%, or 1,800 times 0.15. This is 115, which is simply going to be 1,800 times 15%. It's going 270. So this one, this is the amount that the government is going to take in this transaction, and then the customer is going to pay this much. Customer pays, so we have this customer that is going to pay this price that was charged plus this percentage that is charged by a government. So it's going to be 2.7. So we have 1.8 plus 270 rands, which is equal to, so we have this plus 1,800, which is going to be 2,070 rands. So this is actually how this thing is actually working. Any questions so far before we can move? Have any question? Or you are ready to move? If you are ready to move, you can just throw the thumbs up. And if you have a question, you can unmute yourself and ask the question. I cannot see who is raising a hand because I'm using only one screen. Okay. Okay, let's want us to look at something now. We were talking more about GST, and most part of this GST was emphasizing more about the VAT. Now the question is, where is GST used? This is also one thing that I wanted to talk about. Where is GST used? Okay. What is important about this whole thing? The textbook that we are using, that is recommended, is actually having this GST. As others realize, they usually just focus on the tax they have in their country. But the thing is this, I'm not teaching tax here, I'm teaching maths. So if I give you a problem that is actually in a different country, which I'm going to do, and I want you to be able to solve it. The main reason that we usually do that is because most of the time, if let's say we have a test, maybe if it's online, we know that there are certain things that we can set that even online technology can't really solve because there is that twist to it. And if you are using online solutions instead of focusing on what we are teaching you, you won't be able to get it right. You will get it wrong because we want you to understand this, not only the answers, especially this part. Because when you are employed as an auditor, it's not always about what the system is saying. It's all about what is the employer telling you to do. In most cases, it's not always about this is how things are done. No, I want you to do this. Can you do it? And if you can't do it, you will find out that you are not actually getting more deals. People will like, "Hey, that guy, he can't do things the way I wanted them to do." I suspect that he doesn't know what he's doing, even though you are focusing more on principles. Like I said, mathematics carries more weight than the principles. You can get fired because of your mathematics being wrong. You can't do what needs to be done. Okay, so I'm just going to list some of the countries that are using this GST. If you look at Australia, Australia is using that. And if you look at India, India is actually using this GST. And if you look at Canada, Canada is actually, this is N, Canada is using this GST. And you can also check the Singapore, Singapore is actually using this. And also you will find out actually New Zealand, hope the spelling is right. New Zealand is also using that. But when it comes to South Africa, this is not the right South Africa. Which country am I from? If I can write South Africa. So this one is South Africa. So when you look at South Africa, you'll find out that South Africa is an exception. South Africa is not using GST, right? So you will find out that South Africa is not using that. So South Africa is not using GST. South Africa is not using GST. It uses a value aided tax, or simply put VAT. So in your slip, you usually see VAT, which is functionally similar. So it is similar to GST. So here we're using VAT. So in your slip, when you are seeing that VAT, you must understand that it is the value that government have actually imposed in your consumption. Like you can just eat. Let me text you. If you check online, you will find out that VAT is currently at 15%. So it is 15%. That is why in the previous example, I was using 50%, 50%, because the VAT is currently at 15%. And also, of course, there are goods and services that are free from this GST. Of course, from from country to country, not everything is actually charged at this GST because sometimes the income bracket is not allowing people to buy everything they need because of these taxes. So they end up not adding this GST in some of the products. You will find out that when you're buying basic food items like vegetable, fruit, sometimes bread, milk, and cereals, there is no VAT to them. Healthcare services, there is no VAT. Educational services, some financial services, exports, child care services, public transport, and when you're paying residential rent, you will find out actually that some of these things don't have the okay. So there's no VAT there, and also some religious services, and also charity and international maids, and all those things. You'll find out there are some of these things that are not taxed or zero rated. For some of the things here in South Africa, if you wanted to check them, you can go to the SARS website and check zero rated items. They will be able to help you. And even some of the taxes that are there, they will be able to actually I think you can find them there on the SARS website. Just go to SARS and then you will find some of the zero rated items. Zero rated, it means there is no tax. That it is what it means. Now, I want you to do this problem for me. I want you to do this problem for me if you can. It's very much important. I want you to do this problem. I'm gonna give you as we still have time here. I'm gonna give you this problem and see if we still have time and talk about personal income tax just a little bit there. And if we don't have time, it's still fine. We can do it another time because we have to talk about those things because they are there. When you're having a salary, you will find out that your contract will say that you're gonna get 60,000, and then the money that comes to your bank account, you find out it's around 40,000. So those things are actually much more important for you to understand what really happened, because it's not only retirement that is deducted and medical aids and all those things. You'll find out the government is there and saying that because you are earning this much, we want to make sure that people are having services, and also we want to create a system whereby people who are wealthy, they can take care of those who don't earn that much. So they wanted to take a portion of your salary. So we'll talk about personal income tax. Of course, from there, we'll talk about company tax. We talk about fringe benefits and some other things that we'll talk about that revolves around tax. I want us just to take a little bit of touch in all these things. I know that some of them you will get you will get into deeper details of them as you are going further, because it's very important to know how tax actually work. Now, this one is going to be your homework. I want you to do this homework for me. Please do it. Try and do it. Who knows? You might be surprised with the test that we'll have next week. Let's try and do this homework. This homework is saying this. Julian, a timber. Julian, a timber merchant sells quality of timber. This is B, timber, for $220. Timber. We have $220, including $20 GST. So this 220, it includes a $20 of GST to Andrea, who is a furniture, this is R, so FURN, furniture manufacturer. Now, Andrea uses timber. He uses timber to make a table and sells it to Don, a furniture retailer. For let's say $440, including $40 dollars GST. So this 40 is included there. Don sells the table to Lynn, a consumer. For let's say $550, including 50 GST. This is $50 GST. Okay. The question is saying determine the GST, and input. This is not a good input. And input tax credit for each. It will credit for each of these people. So determine a tax, a GST and input tax credit for each of these. So I want you to do this problem as a homework. You have Julian, a timber merchant who sells quality of timber for $220, including the 20 GST, to Andrea, who is a furniture manufacturer. Andrea then uses this timber to make a table and sells it to Don, a furniture retailer, for $440, including 40 GST. Don sells the table to Lynn, a consumer for this much, and it includes. Now, I want you to actually determine how much the GST and also input credit for each of these people. Analyze this situation and see what you can actually get out of this as something that can be understood by everyone. That is the question that I have for you. So next, I will talk more about what else? We'll talk more about the personal income tax. What is a gross income? I want you to understand that. What is assessable income? What is taxable income? And all those smaller things, so that you are getting a better understanding of what we are doing here. So that when I just decide that I'm letting you go further, go and do other courses. At least you have an idea of what is going on and some calculations that revolves around this tax and other important aspects of this business calculations. It's business calculations, not business definitions. What is important is the calculations. Of course, we can't calculate the things that we don't know. Just gonna give you a little bit. Anyone who have a question? Anyone who have a question, you have a right to ask the question. Just like I have a right to get paid because I did my part. Matter of fact, I'm going to get paid. You can unmute yourself and ask the question. Kadongos is sorted. Who else has sorted? Zukiswa is sorted. Ayaka Sipuns is sorted. Well, I can see that most of us are sorted. Try and actually do this. Atai is sorted. Nonge. Try and do this question as a homework. Other than that, if you have a question, you can ask. If there is no question, I think we're gonna end there today. I'm gonna send you the link of today's class. Try and download and upload for those who actually can't really access Teams. We'll try and upload it on YouTube so that everyone can get access to this. Anyone who did not understand what we were doing yesterday, you can ask a question even if it's there. If you don't have a question, it's fine. Then we can end the class here.
Sorry, Doc.
Yes.
Mna ndicela ubuza i-out of le class ne. Ndicela ubuza uba sivala nini for this semester.
This semester, this is what actually happened. On our side, what happened was this. We were supposed to close on the 20th, right? And then they said that we are affected by strike, right? And then because of this strike that affected everyone, some courses you'll find out that they are still busy with chapter 1, others are still busy with chapter 2s, but we haven't met the targets for the semester. So they said that let's extend for a couple of weeks, right? And then we extended a little bit, and then we had a strike again. Remember that week whereby we're supposed to consolidate everything, the DP and everything, that was the week that also had a strike. So some of the classes did not actually write tests, enough tests for the semester. So they extended again, but most of the focus was focusing on semester courses and not on the extended. So when it comes to extended, because extended is not writing exams, during that window of exams for other courses, they are completing the parts that they did not complete. So we're supposed now to close on the 29th, but the 29th is on Sunday, which means we will close on the 27th. Am I clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Oh, yes, Doc.
Yeah, I've studied. I've studied a lot, sacrificed my life, and some of you, I also think that it will be good for you to actually study further. Don't rush money. There's a lot of money that is out there. For instance, I'm just gonna make a simple example. If you can have your PhD and do postdoc, do you know that you can just get 29,000 tax-free every month? For just studying, and then you go to that level and then you focus on research. You are not teaching, just doing research. If you can do postdoc and also teach, then you will be richer. Think about those things so that you can count a lot of money, not cents, and being taxed much. Think about it. I think we're gonna end here, guys. Next week we'll have an online test on Thursday, which is the 26th, so that you have 3 tests this semester. My advice to you is very simple. If it is possible for you to get 100% in that test, because we have covered legal, try and get 100% because we will take 4 tests out of all the tests that we have written. The other tests will be so difficult. And if you want to have a good average, make sure that you get good marks in test 3 so that you can say that in test 1, test 2, and test 3, I already have good marks. And now I am looking for one test that will be easier in the remaining tests so that I can get a good DP by the end of the year. But if you don't have plans of getting good average, it's still fine. Eat your NSFAS in peace. We're not going to disturb you. I think we're going to end there, guys, unless there is also another question. Saif, did you record?
Yes, Doc, it's recorded.
Oh, okay. Where is Saif?
I'm not sure.
She disappeared into thin air. No, it's fine. Okay, I think we're going to end here, guys. Going to end there. Let me just try and end this.